calypso, forget the funk and the disco. A little more, little more.
Good evening once again, and welcome to another edition of Oui Culture. It is the 24th day of October. Yes, indeed, a very significant time in our history in Grenada. Of course, every year around this time, you know, the conversations regarding what happened in 1983 comes up. Of course, people remember, they recall, you know, and all of that. It's part of our history, and so I guess it is something that would always stay with us, you know. So tonight, we'll be discussing that. Myself and Doc is here, so we are going to, you know, have that discussion, and you know, of course, we'll engage your listeners and viewers as we go along, you know, to get your thoughts and your opinions and all what is happening. Of course, together with all of that, trending heavily now is the request made by the U.S. government for Grenada to temporarily, you know, host military radar equipment and personnel. All right. So that has been a heavy talking point. There's been peaceful marches. There have been, you know, quite a lot. A lot has been said about it. Some of it some of the things I've heard, I am not even sure. I can only go based on the release that I saw, you know, as it relates to military radar and personnel. The other parts of it that I'm hearing, I really cannot speak to that because I've never seen anything to that effect. Maybe it's out there, but I just haven't seen it, so I would not venture there. Yeah, so we welcome you, our viewers on GBN Television, our friends on our Facebook page, GBN Live YouTube channel, and of course our listeners on K105 FM. Doc, good evening. How are you doing?
Hey, bro. I'm feeling really good. I'm fine. Unfortunately, our other compatriots are not here with us. As yet, I think Reece probably might find it difficult tonight because of some prior engagement. I don't know. We had also invited a next guest who, on the last moment, was not able to be with us. Mm-hmm. But we are here, and we have you outside here, the listening public. I think this one is really, really hot topic. So we expect you to tune in, to come in with your pieces quite early this evening. But Godfrey, just to put things in context, just come out from Ahoma, and you know, tomorrow Ahoma would be celebrating, I think, the 42nd year of Thanksgiving. Now, this whole idea of Thanksgiving was started by a lady named Miss Livingston. Miss Livingston had a very, very strong supporter of the GULP, and her son, for one reason or the other, never was officially charged, spent almost 4 years in prison. And so on that fateful day, on the 25th or the 26th thereabout, was released from prison. And so on her own, she just started every 25th, from the time it was declared, she started having what you call Thanksgiving. So tomorrow, the whole Ahoma now is become a big thing. It's no longer Miss Mary's. For over 15 years, it was just she alone doing it. Now it become a fashion, almost like a salaka, but they don't call it salaka, they call it Thanksgiving in Ahoma. And again, as I said, it was started by Miss Mary's two saints, just to show thanks to the fact that her son was then freed from prison due to the invasion. But going now to the real topic, we find October month is like the hurricane of political activities in Grenada. October the 19th is the time when 15 Grenadians were killed, but 8 of them, the Prime Minister and his cabinet colleagues, were put against a wall and then executed. So this is the most dramatic, the most bloody event that happened in Grenada in probably the last 250 years. So October brings that with it. And then you had October the 25th. And the 25th, we actually witnessed an invasion in Grenada, where a superpower came into Grenada. But still going back to October the 19th, it's also the time now, right now, where we, it is declared as Heroes Day. So apart from all the conflict and the turmoil and the pain that goes around October 19th, we then have now on top of that National Heroes Day that is taking a lot of discussion. On October 25th, the discussion still has been whether it's invasion, some people see it as liberation, some people see it as restitution, blah, blah, blah. And presently, Godfrey, we are in a situation now to compound the October problem. We now have a request by the State Department to host a radar station in Grenada, again on the airport. And that is very, 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 very troubling for a lot of Grenadians. I mean, it's like between a rock and a hard place. So hopefully this evening we can, entangle this whole web and seek some clarity with, your side from our viewpoints. But it's not an easy situation. No matter of fact, the word outside by many people, they're sorry for the Prime Minister because that kind of position to be in at this stage, having to make a decision like that is very, very troubling. So I have a lot more to say. I don't know if you want to come in.
Well, no, I just want to ask, now and then we kind of go back a bit and, go back and forth. But it's very interesting you mentioned that this whole situation as it relates to the request is very troubling. Why is it troubling? Do you think it is troubling? What is your feel on this?
Well, let me maybe continue and I would answer that question. It is troubling. So the October month itself signifies collapse of the Grenada Revolution. And what the Grenada Revolution represents? The Grenada Revolution represents a depart from the normal way of doing things. Grenada, as a small island, actually got involved in these big people, big power people, business, which in hindsight, and if you really do the analysis, was really a wrong stance to take. We decided to take side in those superpower. We don't even have a tank on our own. We didn't have an aircraft on our own. Yet we were embroiled in the superpower politics, and we took side, living in a hemisphere that was almost that of the domain of the West. Should we be anti-imperialism? Of course. But should we be having to take side? So we lost our non-alignment during the revolution. So on October the 25th, when the Americans came here, the question was, did they come here because they were, because of that stand we took, the anti-American, but also the preference for the Soviet type of politics? Was the pretext they used for the invasion? Or was it the pretext they say they come to because of our human rights record? Where at the end of that term, 4.5 years, roughly 3,012, there were 3,012 political detainees, which means that on a daily basis, average, you're talking about 2 persons being jailed almost every day. So these are something we have to look at. And so when I say it is troubling, it is troubling, I want to put that in perspective because yes, to the present situation, taking what I would call the chaotic nature, the restless nature of Donald Trump, it means that if we say yes, we depart or we pause in our struggle to ensure that Grenada remain a zone. First, I would say a zone of peace. In terms of the consolidation of our sovereignty, we would be departing from that, or we pause, for want of a better word, it means that we are no longer in solidarity with the new trust taking place on the African continent, where our African brothers and sisters are seeking what I call a sort of economic liberation from the hold of the Western, in particular the Western powers. I believe that we should have been in solidarity with them. But if we say yes, it means that we depart. We're no longer giving them that level of solidarity. If we say yes, we have the possibility of splitting the, I would say the views of CARICOM should be our brothers and sisters, because I believe CARICOM, the message is that we want to remain a zone of peace. And if we say yes, again, what are we saying? Are we alluding to our vulnerability in terms of what we have as resources? So yes, again, is a very troubling stance to take. And that is why I would say I do not envy the Prime Minister if he has to say yes. But again, if we flip the coin, if we say no, what are we saying? If we say no, we are saying that we are standing firm. Yeah, we are standing firm. We are standing firm. Grenada has maintained its image as an international leader. We though small, we are big in outside. People see us as big. I mean, look at our history. Apart from Fedor, we had Buzz Butler, Grenadian. We had Malcolm X. We had T. Marichaud. We had Geary. We had Bishop. All these are persons that it seemed kind of reinforce our sense of a people fighting for our sovereignty, our integrity. So when we say no, it means that we are in line with that. When we say no, it means that we are in solidarity with CARICOM. When we say no, it means that we are again in solidarity with the trust from the African continent that are seeking for liberation. So yes or no, it has its implication. But no also means that if we say no, we have to think about the repercussion. And I want Grenadians to think carefully, because this is not a simple matter. What are the repercussions? Most of our barrels come from the United States. Something can be done to slow it down, to stop it. I don't know if it can be stopped. Our tourism, most of our tourism product, our flights, most of it pass through the United States, irrespective of where you want to go sometime. You have, one of the landing parties within the US. Already we are losing $13 million come end of January for our fishing. Can we afford an next 20 or an next 13 or next $20 million? What about our source industry? We have preferential treatment to ship our source. So when we say no, what are the possibility of repercussion? What's about the possibility of not just of Grenadians, more Grenadians being deported, targeted and deported? Or what's about the fact that we might say no to the radar station, but then there can be a request, knowing the person in Trump, to have deportees from probably even Latin American countries. What are we going to do? Are we going to say no again? What's about in terms of our visas, like what they do, like in places like Namibia, and some of the African students, where they have to pay $1,500 every 6 months to renew the student visa. Or in the case of Mali, to apply for a visa, you have to pay $10,000 just to apply for a visa for the US, and they have to actually go to a different country, going into the Ivory Coast. All these are possibilities that can happen in Grenada by saying no. Do we have the resources? Can we stand up to that? So yes, we march. Yes, we say no, because we want to maintain our pride, our integrity, or our sovereignty, right? And I believe it would be really good for Grenadians to say no, to ensure that we maintain our sovereignty, because we don't want to be cut off. But then again, there are repercussions. So you see, Godfrey, I'm not so sure if it is easy for our Prime Minister Dickon having to take into consideration all those many things that I've just outlined. How do you live with the Grenadian people? How do you live with the Grenadian people when you say no? Yeah. So I think I kind of sum up some of it. So I hope I did answer your question.
Okay. So let us now put some further perspective on all of this. And I've heard all that you say, and I've been listening intently to all that is out there as it relates to this situation. And I would address the reader request first, and then maybe go back to the October 25th and whatever it is. Now, first of all, and as I said earlier, I am going based on what I know. And what I know is I read a release which stated that the U.S. is asking Grenada to temporarily host radar equipment and personnel. All right. No, that's what I know. That's what I saw. And let me say again. Maybe, and you mentioned something about detainees or whatever it is, and I've heard that kind of thing too. I've even heard talk about prison. I have never seen anything as it relates to that, so I don't know. So I'm going based on the whole request for radar and personnel. Right. My question is, can we put into context the word temporary? Because that is the request, to temporarily host radar. How long is temporary? How short is temporary? Because I believe these are things that we need to know, right? I don't know how, and I guess the Prime Minister, and let me say this up front. I am very happy with how the Prime Minister is dealing with the whole situation. And I listened to him, and he said he is happy that this thing is being fleshed out in the public. Now keep in mind that we only got to know about that maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago. This request came in August. It came in August, which says to me that the Prime Minister has been giving serious thought to this whole situation. And I commend him highly for that. Next thing, and let me ask you, I don't know if you can recall. Do you recall when President Barack Obama, during his term in office, visited Trinidad and Tobago?
Uh-huh.
Was there any radar set up in Grenada temporarily for his visit in Trinidad and Tobago?
I'm not so sure, but what I know is that there were planes landing, planes flying over.
Well, you see, that's the thing. Let me tell you. In Grenada, we are very reactive people. And I would say this, right? Based on the behavior of the present President of the United States, I will not support anything of that nature in Grenada. Reason being, he is not someone that you can take at his word. So he could say temporary, and he would try to bully his way. That we have seen it, and this is not something that we're guessing. We know that about the man. He can do that. All right? If that happens, we will not be in any position to fight him, because, I mean, we might be able to pelt a too big stone maker to get a pole, but how much that could do. So based on that, and that alone, I personally will not support that, because I don't trust him. I don't trust him. But I am going to ask our listeners and yourself to go back to Obama's visit and find out whether or not we had radar set up in Grenada for Obama's visit. I am asking, and I want people to, you see, and that's why I've made it clear, and I've stated my position as it relates to why I will not support it, strictly because of the gentleman that we are dealing with. Right?
But I think But Godfrey, I think it's more than that. It's not just the gentleman. Now, if, example, say the same gentleman, President Trump was visiting in Trinidad, and there was a request for the airport to be used as a landing in terms of for security. I don't believe that was going to be a problem. We have bilateral relationship with America. We have relationship with our neighbors. That, to me, on the grounds of providing security to prevent attack on the president of the United States, even this very president, I believe that is in good order.
Let me tell you.
But,
and I hear what you say. But even so, for me personally, I ain't doing it because I don't trust him. He's not a logical thinking person.
No, I agree.
That is the premise on which I will not support it. Right? However, I do believe, and for some reason, I have a lot of confidence that the Prime Minister will make a good decision as it relates to this. I believe he's a man that is focused, he's not easily swayed, and I think he will make the right decision. Now, there is something, again, very instructive about all of this, and I'm going to put it out here now. The NNP, and they could vex if they want. Me and NNP, they could say what they want. They could vex. Have you noticed that they've been very silent on this issue? I wonder why.
Yeah. Well,
knowing them, and how they like to rah and criticize everything, I find it rather strange that they are not very vocal on this particular issue, especially when the Grenadian populace is so vocal.
Godfrey, I hear you, and it's not what I said I should say, but I hear you. But one of the thing, if I was in a position to advise, I would ask the Prime Minister to have a joint sitting of Parliament. And whether in absentia or in person, that every member of Parliament had to vote on this matter or express the view as it relates to. And you could express it by saying abstention, by saying you abstain from voting. But every member should give the say. Because this matter is not bipartisan. It has nothing to do with your political affiliation. It has nothing to do with your religious position.
And I'm cutting across you, Doc. And I'm cutting across you. And this is why I find it strange that the opposition party is very silent. Because this is not a political issue. It is not a color issue.
Yeah, it's a color issue.
It weighs heavily on every single Grenadian. You understand what I'm saying? And this is why I've been thinking about it. Like I said, I've been listening. I've been, paying attention to a lot of what is happening. But it is very, very obvious that the opposition is very silent, especially when the general Grenadian population is so vocal.
Yeah.
And I'm asking myself why.
As I mentioned, the Grenadian population is vocal. There is something that I came across, and I want to speak to my Grenadian colleagues, brothers and sisters. Sovereignty, our dignity, our history has nothing to do with who we are again. Sovereignty is about us as a people, we as a people defending what we hold dear to be us, our land, our pride, our dignity. So actually, I was on a march yesterday. I went to see, I walked along, and then I listened to some speeches, and some people were spitting out venom against America But your sovereignty has
I heard some of it.
Yeah, your sovereignty has defense of your sovereignty has nothing to do whether America is good or bad. So I believe we should leave out America and the characteristics and the behavior from that. If we defending Grenada, whether we trading good with Trinidad or Canada or China or Russia, it has nothing to do with that. If the American want to put up a base and we say, or a radar station, and we say no military installation on Grenada, and we have problem with America. I don't think we really have problem with America right now. We're not in the 1979, 1983 era. I think we should say no. But if the Soviet come and they want to put up a radar station in Grenada, or the Chinese that we have a relationship with, I think we should say no. It has nothing to do with the records, humanitarian or otherwise, or exploitation of America or China. Our sovereignty is to defend our sovereignty from friends and foe. So I was so taken aback by the useless rhetoric that was spitted out yesterday at that march by some of those persons that was spitting fire. They go as far as wanting to, almost wanting to, it's like back up the revolution rhetoric.
But you see, and I was going to come to that, Livingston, and I know, and I'm ready for it. Let me dive because I know we'll get it, and I'm going to say it. This situation appears to me as an ideal opportunity for some of the revel-loving people to once again feel that, or to add some credence to that period. And to me, I look at some of them yesterday and I'm asking myself, but wait a minute. Are some of these people really genuine in what they're doing? And again, I am not going to support that under the present president. If it was somebody else, maybe, but under Mr. Trump, no way. I put in a big X by no. But as you said, the venom that was spitted out. It's like, some of the people during that when after the revolution fell apart, they were left hanging. They lost their power. They lost that authority of being able to use guns and force to frighten and intimidate people during that period. And they were left hanging. And they didn't know what happened. And here comes the opportunity to talk about America and no to America. So much so. As to, I heard somebody talking about when the airport was being built, it was branded a base for the Russian and all of that kind of thing. And now America want to bring radar and all of this kind of thing. Come on. Some of these people, or maybe, let me not say that yet. And maybe I could probably, let me ask you that to get your thoughts. October 25th, when the US and other Caribbean forces came into Grenada, do you think it was necessary? Because what had happened, the PRG or whatever they call them, they could not get their act together, and so they did what I think a lot of people expected. You understand? My partner scholar say it was a revolution, and revolution has its tenets. So all the people who get locked up and that kind of thing, that goes with the revolution. But I also want to posit here that the execution of Bishop and some of the other people, that's also a tenet of a revolution. So I don't understand, why is it that some people are up in arms, so angry about the death of Bishop and others during that period, but pay no mind or have little kind of remorse for people who suffered at their hands. Their life has more value than an ordinary Grenadian who work hard and who has family to mind and children to go to school. Their life worth more than these people.
Let me come here, Godfrey. Let me tell you what I know. One of the biggest downfall of the revolution was the fact that we developed an ideology that was totally useless for black people, an ideology of class struggle. But we took a position, and I read an article recently by one Dr. Wendy Finley, who came to the conclusion in a general discussion that Grenada entered into a free, it's like you egg and you're going to Rackstone party. And so she, at her conclusion, was that one of the faults of the revolution was basically to be involved in this war with the two superpowers. As I say, we didn't have a tank. I don't think we still have a tank in Grenada. You understand? So that was it. So to me, one of the problem is fighting against colonialism and imperialism is all good. And I believe that is what we should be doing. But our natural bond, our natural partnership is with people look like us, because the ideology of class struggle is not for us. The working class in Germany and the working class in France and in England, etc. The working class gets a lot of their benefit because of the exploitation of the people in the working class in the third world. And so they are much better. The working class in England and France, I think, for a lot of time, was much better than the middle class in the Caribbean. So there was no affinity. There was nothing that bound us, apart from that they were happy that we were being exploited so that they could live a much better life. And I think the revolution ideology of accepting or believing that we were natural born, we had a natural born, I think it was a fash. It was really, really a useless piece of ideology. But again, the main thing again is we end up in a situation where we had to decide that we took side, anti-America, but we were not just against exploitation of ourselves. We were against one set of people, but we pushing to go to our next group of people. And so that's why I'm saying our sovereignty has to be like we are friends, or we are friends with everybody. We don't looking for enemy, but we do not accept the exploitation of anybody at all on us. Our sovereignty must be defended without thinking about friends or foe. So that is my take as it relates to that era and that period.
All right. Well, Scholar has joined us. Scholars, I don't know if you were able to get any of the discussion before, but we're basically talking October 25th and alongside the request by the US to temporarily host radar equipment in Grenada. So maybe you could jump in and add your 2 pence.
Yeah, well, how come we ain't seen you, Godfrey? You're
not seeing that already. I sent a text. I tell you we can't see him.
I don't know, but my camera is on.
Are people on the live seeing you?
I'm not sure what is happening. But my camera is on.
You should find that out. You should find that out.
But my camera is on, so I'm not sure what is happening here. I would have the guys check it out, but I'm really not sure what is happening here. So,
so Godfrey, we need to take some early calls, eh?
Yeah, well, once the calls come, we're gonna take them. So calls. Well, you could probably go. Let me. In the meantime, I would probably see if I can get one of the guys to have it checked out for me, because I'm not sure what is the problem.
All right. Yeah. Well, so good night to all the listeners, the Lucas.
The people on the sorry, Skull. The people on the live, they say that they sing me. So I really don't know what is the issue. Because my camera is on. Yeah. So let's go. We don't get started.
Right. We're speaking to a dark screen anyway. Yeah. But so I don't know what Doc would have said. I have not a clue. I came in late. I came in right at the back end of Doc speaking. So I don't know what he said, what he framed before. So
let me give you a minute.
A summary. Briefly.
Let me give you a minute. So basically what I'm saying that right now a lot of people say they're sorry for our Prime Minister because he's in such a difficult position. And so we look at the question of October being what I call the hurricane month of politics. October the 19th, the execution, the massacre, again, and then we have compounded on that Heroes Day, October the 25th, the invasion, and then now October month, the request from the US for a radio station. So we see that the month of serious political turmoil. And we say, if we say yes, there are two things. If we say yes, I mean, what does yes entails? Yes mean that we probably depart apart from the struggle to reinforce our sovereignty. There is a trend in Africa now for economic liberation. It means that we probably would not be giving him that such a solidarity because there's a trend that is on now. I also say if we say no, it means that Grenada has a history internationally and otherwise as such a leadership, an island small but big in leadership. And so I quote that the fact that we had Buzz Butler, we had Fedor, we had Malcolm X, we had Geary, we had Bishop. And we're standing on the shoulders of these people in order to defend our sovereignty. But also said to Grenadians that when we say no, because I believe the majority of Grenadians are saying no, when we say no, what do we have to think about saying no and meaning no, because there can be consequences. And the consequences could affect our barrel, our tourism, and tourism is wide. Already we're losing $13 million come January when they stop taking our fish. We have preferential treatment for our soursop. What's about the fact that they might send deportees, they might increase on our visa application, etc., etc. So I'm saying, using all that to say, when we say no, we must also take into consideration that there are consequences. So people should realize that this is a Grenadian thing, it is not a partisan. And so nobody should try to say, well, it's not a color thing, it's not a group thing, it's a Grenadian thing, and we all should be on board with that. Expressing our views, but being on board with that. In a nutshell, that's what I mentioned.
All right, so I get it. Well, for me, one of the biggest issues here, and I mean, you are correct that this is a dilemma, all right? And a lot of people view it as damn if you do, damn if you don't. A lot of people view it as being between a rock and a hard place. And so many people are claiming that they would not want to be in the shoes of the little man who is running Grenada. And I agree to all of the sentiments that is being framed. And then there are some other things that are happening on the side as it relates to the citizenry. I mean, only what night is that? The night before last night, they had a march, citizen march, I think it's around Carnage or somewhere. And honestly, I was surprised to see the numbers, because when they showed the thing, I see people, I tell myself, I will stop see people, I will just watch stop see people thing, and I do it for a good time for people to pass, So it had numbers speaking out against this thing that kind of made me surprised, So you have all of these, things happening, and then of course the government has taken it's time really about a response, which is something that I like. You don't rush into something like this. So the government has taken its own precious time to look at, cover all the bases before crafting some kind of response to this. Now, I think part of the argument, and the main argument is, and as we are discussing this against the backdrop of October 25th, October 19th, and as Doc said, the hurricane time for politics in Grenada, I think the historic sensitivity of the whole thing is what has a lot of people. I mean, we hear from leaders and so on about the zone of peace and Grenada remaining a zone of peace, and all of this is the arguments that they frame. And so on. I see a set of even past leaders have signed on to some, this whole zone of peace issue. I don't know, I see a picture and I see Dr. Keith smiling in it. So I don't know if his signature is.
No, I don't think his name was there. But past prime ministers, I say past leaders, people might not, who don't know, but it's past prime ministers from some islands, a good number of them from within the region.
Well, yes.
I just think you should say past prime ministers and
past
just
prime ministers. Right, I know Rowley, and then so I thought it was synonymous leaders with prime ministers anyway. But so that is one, the historic sensitivity of it. One framed against October and so on, says to you that on the one hand you had Maurice Bishop, who was the main character really in all of what happened in October, right? October 19th, October 25th, even though he was dead, but all of what led to it. So he was probably the main character in the whole thing. And the fight and the struggle and so on against the US during this time, and imperialism and what have you, and the fact that he built that airport, which the US themselves in their propaganda claimed was a military base and yada yada and all of these things. And now, I mean, to have 40 odd years later, the US wanting to use Maurice Bishop's same airport that he fought and built and took so much stick from them because it was a military base. Now you want to use Maurice Bishop Airport as a military base, to host your thing, So it is that kind of historical. You see, people see this as a letdown really of Bishop's legacy and all that. Yes, I think this is the part of this thing that a lot of people cannot stomach. I mean, we understand all of the other issues relating to America and the fact that in recent times we have seen almost, within We Culture, so we can speak local balance, is as if America sucking and they interfering with us. Almost people feel unnecessarily, really. I mean, and it just culminated in this, and we don't know where you go end up, which is the whole thing. One of the next things, because if you agree to this now, then maybe our next demand would come or for some other thing and some other thing as we go, because we had the whole issue with the visa, right, and the revocation of the visa. Then you had the fish, right? You had the request to host all criminal or worthless man from other countries, and so it has been a steady escalation of requests, really. And heaven knows where these requests are going to end. And people are kind of worried, that with all of this happening, what would it mean for Grenada if we say no? And I think they are crafting it about the backlash and the visa and so on, yada, yada, yada. All right? And then there is still another school of thought Okay? Regardless to what it is, but you have seen and have heard this school of thought that all of this interfering and sucking and choking Grenada is because Grenada has shown interest in deepening partnership with Africa. We hosted African big kind of summit with all kind of African kind of fancy dashiki come down and have thing. And from since that happened, Grenada is on the radar. So the radar they put in here, Grenada they on it, really. From since that time, you know, there's a school of thought that believes that this is so. But all that we are speaking about, you have to frame it against October 19th, October 25th. And I think the issue here is the historical sensitivity of that.
All right, Doc?
No, I think if you have more calls, you'll be good to get the list as if you have persons outside.
So the lines are open. The number is 435-2041. So we would like to hear from our listeners and viewers, you know, on this whole issue, how they feel about it. As Scholar said, there are loads of you know, things been out there, you know. Some of it, as I said earlier, I'm not even sure, and I could only go based on what I saw, you know. So, but Scholar, you mentioned this thing about detainees, them people, them old criminals. Is that really so? I mean, I've heard it. I've not seen. All I saw was the release with the request for the radar and so.
No. It was so. I heard the Attorney General confirm
okay.
some interview.
Okay.
That because remember there was a force request.
Right.
That the diplomatically said no to. Alright, so there was a very, very early request. I think the Minister for Foreign Affairs had responded and said yes, that was so, and that Grenada said that, listen, we are not going to take people from Norway. If it is our people,
we take them.
And you deport them, then we'll take them.
Right.
All right.
Well, yeah.
But we're taking out. But the request, I understand, has come in again, and I don't think Grenada has responded yet. Again, so that is our next thing above the. That is after the.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I wasn't. I've heard it, but I wasn't certain whether or not it was that was the case. So yes, the number 435-2041. We'll be happy to take your calls right now. So again, or you can also, if you have any questions, you can post on our Facebook page, on our WhatsApp platform. Let's go to the telephone line. I think we have a caller on the line. Oui Culture, good evening.
Hello.
Could you turn the volume of your radio down, please, caller, and listen to us on your telephone?
Yes.
Please.
Hello, Godfrey?
Yes.
Now, there's so much I could say. I'm an elderly man. But if all you people are sensible more than me, Trump want to acquire Canada. You want to acquire Greenland. All you're doing in Palestine, making peace, is you want to go into celebration. You know that? Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Yes, I'm listening. Go ahead.
And if all you notice interfere with Russia and what the war was having, the people have to give Trump certain part of some kind of mineral they have in the place with Trump.
Ukraine.
Ukraine. I don't know if you know that.
Well, I heard the request. Yeah.
Yeah, and if they let Trump put anything in Grenada, the next thing you're seeing in Trinidad is nuclear submarine and warship. And they're going to start to shoot Grenada fishermen and say they're doing jobs. So if these people in politics have any sense, what Trump want to do after, tell the madman, no. You hear me?
All right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, caller. Thank you very much indeed. All right. Well, guys, you heard from the caller. Someone on the WhatsApp platform says the silence of the opposition rests on the decision of the PM to use that for election campaign. Not sure I quite understand, but anyway, that's.
No, I understand what they're saying.
I understand too.
In essence, what they're saying is that the opposition has said nothing. I mean, in all fairness to the opposition, the government has said nothing also. Right? But the opposition has not framed their thoughts and where they see it going, because it's a sensitive issue and it is not to their advantage really to say anything. So they are keeping silent. They'll brag about all kind of things. But they are having a lot of engagements, a lot of meetings. I mean, where they are saying and making all kind of pronouncements. But this one, they keep it.
Well,
because the feeling is that they're waiting for what the Grenada's government position will be. And then whether it's for or against, they will kick up. If it's for, they will kick up as though they are against. If it's against, they'll kick up as though they're for. So that they could make political mileage. I think that is what the color is.
Alluding to.
Yeah.
Right. But you know, I think fairly, they should not make any public announcement or pronouncement. But what they should do, and as I said earlier on, the Prime Minister should have a joint sitting of Parliament, but the opposition in the capacity would consult the members and then maybe present a position, a sort of unified position with the government. So they're part of the whole thing. So I think it is good for them to articulate. They don't have to do it in public, but I also believe that they should make a private sort of
But Doc, I don't agree with you. No, they should do it in public. I mean, why not? The truth is that, and this is where Peter David could beat the chest, because Peter David, leadership is not a little jokey kind of business, So Peter David has demonstrated great leadership. The man say exactly what he's thinking. Don't sit down and wait and playing game. The man says straight out, you don't agree with that?
Yeah, actually, you're right.
And at some point in time, I think Peter David has gained a lot of respect. Some people don't even agree with what he says, but they respect it. They respect the fact that he has the balls, if I can use that term, the testicular fortitude to take the lead and come out and say exactly what he thinks about it. So really and truly,
but you're right. They could. Yeah.
Right?
But yesterday,
but at the same time, I agree with you that I could understand why they are silent, and probably if it was me, I might have silent too. The whole thing.
Because they don't have they don't have the if.
No, but I really hope that a lot of things are happening internally. In the back room.
I said earlier, because I found it rather strange, because knowing the opposition, as you say, Scott, they just talk and say all kind of funny things. All kind of funny thing they say, and an issue that is on the lips of almost every Grenadian, and not a word from you. That's something here, right? Anyway,
something fishy.
something from Guav taking place. 435-2041. That's the number you can call, folks. And let's hear your position on this matter. But it is something And Scholar, you made the point that the Prime Minister is taking his time, and I very early I applauded that. I thought it was excellent that he should think this through very, very carefully before making any decision. And people would always talk based on how they feel, but the bottom line is, when a decision is made, be it a popular one or an unpopular one, I think it should be well calculated, well thought out, and then put out there. And whatever the backlash is, then you deal with it. Let's go back to the telephone. Oui Culture, good evening. Hello.
Oui Culture, good evening.
Yes, good evening, caller.
Could you guys please explain to us what is the real reason for the reader? And if we do have to make a decision, I would suggest that we do it after Christmas when we get we barrel ham and we can beef before Trump say nothing for us. And I really, really would like them to think hard about it. I love to go in the bush. My legs are not good. I can't run from criminals. So no to these people that we don't know coming here. I really, really would like them to say no to that. But please give us a little more explanation as to the real purpose of the reader. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, caller. Thank you. I think Scholar should answer that question, Doc.
Me?
Yeah, you. You walking with government. You're supposed to have like an inside scoop that I could share with us, even if it's a tubes. You could share with
Doc is
a CEO. Doc is not a PS. You are the inside scoop. Guess all tubes.
No, but the caller is onto something, with the question that she framed, because I think the one of the issues here, and I forgot to flag it, and maybe Doc had, but one of the issues here is precisely what the caller is alluding to, because and I understand why the caller asked the question and what she's alluding to. And this is what most people are alluding to, that what the US is saying the radar is for is actually not that. Right? There is some kind of deception taking place here, because we are hearing that it's for drugs and to stop the drug trade, and they have already.
Yeah, but they're stopping the drug trade with bomb and kind of thing. What do you want to stop drug trade?
I mean, we're not talking about stopping drug trade with bomb and all this kind of thing. I mean, drugs and running drugs and so on is not a crime, especially in our parts, that is punishable by death. And once you bombing man with drugs, I mean, you are almost saying to them that the punishment, and so people do not buy into this, and people do not buy that it is because of drug, not that this drug thing is not an issue. It's a problem.
It is.
We're seeing the escalation of all these different gun crime and so on throughout the Caribbean, and you can lay snugly at the feet of this drug trade that and the Caribbean as a transshipment point for this whole thing. But at the same time, people not buying into this, and people believe that it's just a war on Venezuela, that we are kind of buying this superpower war thing with our neighbor Venezuela, who, by the way, has been very good to us.
Indeed.
And has, in the past, helped us. I mean, Petro-Caribbean, they build houses, they do all kind of things. So Venezuela has always been a very close friend and ally of. So it is a. Listen to me, man. I am happy that I can just go, do me work, come back, sit on GBN thing, tax something, and I don't have to make this kind of decision because so much things falling around. And I think with just this one little tame kind of song in question, the collar is opening a whole and a whole.
So Godfrey, let me give my input. You have a call there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking, I mean, the color alluding to something, and I think color, you go wrong. But basically, listen, we have 10,000 troops left the US. A whole frigate of ships and things came into the Caribbean waters, killing some of the boats. It means that there is a military presence surrounding Venezuela already. 10,000 troops left. They now ask for some seat between the 26th, which is I guess on 26th is when Sunday, onto the 30th or so, for a port in Trinidad to be totally closed. So I think it is not science. It is not far-reaching to imagine that the reason why they want the reader is to conduct espionage work on Venezuela and to actually aid in the invasion of a neighbor.
But didn't Trump? But Trump already he has admitted that he has already deployed CIA agents inside of Venezuela.
But then we facilitating that. I think it's just bad for business for us, for we to be actively facilitating that invasion of our neighbor. So I think the whole idea is war.
But the truth is, the truth is, I mean, the US do not need Grenada to facilitate that kind of thing. They're already doing it. So why are they trying to get little baby Jesus involved in that kind of thing? We don't need he done smart already. They want to fit. That's
I don't know if you saw Ralph Gonzalez an interview he did, and basically he said the US have they could build a platform outside.
But they could do anything that they want. They don't need to.
They have eyes in the sky. They have their ship. So why Grenada? Why they need to land on Point Salad International? So I think there is something more in the matter.
I do believe
there's
that.
Something more. It cannot be just they want a radar as a strategic piece of instrument to invade Venezuela. I think it's more than that.
And I've laid it out all year up.
But they don't want us. They don't want us to have Africa meeting.
Because listen to me, and I still live out one. Remember this whole North Seas business and doctors with Cuba and we thinking human trafficking. Because so it is just an escalation of things that are happening that points to the fact that Grenada, little as it is, we have again. And this is why you see we need to frame it against this whole 1983 and October and so on. Again, Grenada is
get caught up in this big people business.
Example, and the America once again has interest in Grenada. It's not just, nobody would ever sit down and believe that it is because of war in Venezuela.
I am not convinced. I am not convinced.
They could have asked St. Vincent, they could have asked anybody to think.
But the bottom line, they don't need to.
They don't need that.
They don't need it. That's exactly my point. They don't need it. So there definitely has to be some more. And again, I am happy that the Prime Minister is taking his time and thinking carefully about this. I don't think he should be. I don't think he should allow all the talk and so there to push him into doing anything or making any pronouncements. I think he's quite capable. Take your time. Think through.
He said Sunday that they were having some same thing at Dhaka advocated. They're having some parliamentary sitting. It was supposed to be today.
Yeah, but they pushed it Tuesday.
I don't know what happened. That would know that because that didn't go in the Heroes. That didn't go in the Heroes Square, the Heroes Park. I tell you how to go wrong there. You're lucky I didn't take the mic.
Rain should have wet you. Rain should have.
You see, that what I tell all you. Tomorrow should have been Heroes Day. Let's go back to the we have a caller. Let's go to the phone. We Culture, good evening.
Hello.
Yes, good evening, caller.
One of the questions I have is our Prime Minister Superman? So in other words, he has to think for every one of us together. Now what I should think he should do is to please don't blame my phone. Blame the gadget maybe you all have where you all have it.
Caller, could you go ahead and make your point,
yes.
please?
Now, as far as I'm concerned, our Prime Minister has to use some diplomatic way of answering the Americans. Maybe what he could say, he has to put it to the people, and as your center man, they would say, use delaying tactics until the American would get fed up. Put it to the people and see what the people would say, because he is not the omnipotent. He is not God. He just he is trying to guide the Grenadian people. That's what he's there for. He hasn't all the wit to answer our questions. Let the people of the country help him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Maybe we could have a referendum. A referendum.
I didn't think because he ain't all these things. Watch, let me tell you something. Greater today, since we hear about this word consultation,
don't forget that. What I do?
You got to consult with the people.
Consult
and so on. And you have one day a process of consultation. I mean, even for something that makes serious sense, you would end up totally tie up, because when some people say this, some people say that. But I mean, you're still caught in a place where you still have to make a decision, and the decision would be unpopular with some, unpopular with some.
And that's why I always ask the question. When I hear people talking about, the people must decide, the people must decide. Who's the people? Who's the people?
Exactly.
Who's the people? So I don't buy that. I think as Prime Minister, he is not perfect. He may not always get it right. None of us always get it right. But I think he needs to take his time, think it through clearly, look at the pros and the cons. Talk to Doc, let Doc advise, and
there you go.
Yeah, the Doc.
Speak to CARICOM, which he has done.
Yes,
right,
of course.
Right. Speak to CARICOM, right? So
yes,
to have certain conversation with people so that he could kind of frame I don't believe in going and meet with the people and consult with everybody and we saying what and we saying that. To me, that's totally
because the truth is the other thing. The truth is the people really don't have all the details of what is happening, and so people just get all caught up and reactive. Yeah. I looked at a guy and sometimes I think the media really do not do a good job in situations like these. I would think that sometimes the media need to step up and help guide the process in a sensible way. But I think sometimes they're so caught up in sensationalism that all kind of things just come out and it really doesn't help. It worsens the situation. So I don't know. There's a lot. Let's go back to the telephone. We lost the caller. 435-2041. That's the number you could call, and you can get through. We actually have time for a few more calls. Let's go back again. Oui Culture, good evening.
Good evening. I'm calling for the program.
Yes, go ahead. You on?
Yes, I've been listening to the program very attentively. and I heard the question asked why Grenada is being considered to put the radar. Now, it is not only Grenada, but most of the Caribbean, and I think that Trump is looking for consensus so that when he invades Venezuela, he can see that all the Caribbean people, Grenada is for me, and Trinidad is for me, and Antigua is for, even though Antigua has already said no, but he want to boast us of them that he has support in the Caribbean for his invasion of Venezuela. And my concern about this radar business also is that this madman is only blowing up people in the high seas. So sometimes you can see that radar might see a boat leaving Grenada heading for the USA, a little fishing boat, and they can blow it up. So we cannot trust this man, as you rightly said, Godfrey. He's a man that cannot be trusted. He does not provide any evidence for his killing and blowing up of fishing boats and whatever vessel he's blowing up. And he's saying that they are drug dealers and what have you, but he gives no evidence. But the fact of the matter is that the majority of Grenadians are against that issue. But my concern is that he wants to have to say that Grenada is supporting his activities, and he is supporting the Caribbean so he can go ahead with his invasion of Venezuela. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah. All right. We probably may have. Let's go back to the telephone again quickly and see. Oui Culture. Good evening. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Godfrey.
How are you?
Good. Scholars said a while ago about meetings with CARICOM leaders and so. Wasn't meetings like that held already?
Yes, I think they had some meetings. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because according to Scholar, he recommends things like that should happen. And, according to you as well, there's no need for consultation. It's overused, right? So we don't need to really go out to the people as such, the Grenadian public as such. But you should consult with those groups like CARICOM and those kind of fellows and them. But as far as I know, the consultations were done like that. So I'm wondering if decisions are not yet taken as well, and we are not aware of it just the same.
Well, I guess we have to wait. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I believe so. I believe that CARICOM has taken a position. I was listening to Gonzalez, and Gonzalez was saying what he told. He ain't going to say what he tell the Prime Minister, but he tell the Prime Minister certain things and so on. So I believe that CARICOM has taken a position, a strong position on it. They have signed up that the Caribbean and have reaffirmed their commitment to keeping the Caribbean as a zone of peace, and that in itself tells you everything.
Yeah, but also, Scholar. Also, I think I listened to a little bit of Dr. Didicus Jews, I think, and one of the things that came out was that support. In other words, the Caribbean is standing with Grenada in whatever decision it makes. So I do believe that there is a position, but I also believe even if the decision of the Prime Minister is probably not what the general body, maybe suggest or not, that they would definitely still support Grenada because the request is of Grenada, and so I think we are in a good place as it relates to this whole situation. I have all confidence.
But then there's the other spin of that. CARICOM now seems to have a unified approach and stance on this. But there is one CARICOM entity, one CARICOM country that totally departs from that unified approach, and it brings back the whole issue. Remember, Federation. Donkey years ago about
Federation.
Right, and one from 10 leaves 0, and this whole thing. So it's like we're tracing our steps and things going back around full circle, because we know that Trinidad and their Prime Minister they vehemently do not agree to this whole zone of peace thing and CARICOM thing and CARICOM's unified position. And in fact, you have a U.S. boat, I think Dhaka said, warship dock in Trinidad, and Trinidadians are you know.
They've been.
Yeah, they according to we old part, they GGE.
Let's see if we get another quick 2 calls here. We Culture, good evening. Hello.
Hello, good night.
Yes, good evening, caller.
Good evening. I'm just saying, as a Grenadian, Trump has his request for radar installation, and Grenadians, we have our request, visa-free access for citizens, as well as we want our new teaching hospital. Those are our 2 requests.
Okay. I don't think Doc would agree with that, because that would step on our sovereignty, Doc. Wouldn't you agree? Asking for.
I didn't get the link.
What the caller was saying, okay, so Trump has made his request, but in turn Grenada, according to her, we have our request, which is a teaching hospital.
Oh, you mean what you say we could negotiate? We could say yes, but negotiate?
Yeah.
That's what the caller saying?
Well, yeah, in essence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in essence. I personally, I don't think that's a good idea. Well, for me personally, I don't think that's a good idea.
I think that could have been possible if you were dealing with somebody rational. But as Qatar gave the president a whole plane, and then he turned around and he bombed, he allowed the Israelites to bomb in Qatar. India and Canada, the relationship with the US supposed to be premier. Relationship, and look at the war that is going on. So a man like Trump, I mean, he said so he cannot flip-flop on his policy.
Well, and that's the point I made. That was my opening point. Just the fact that we're dealing with this gentleman in particular, I will not support.
You can negotiate.
I will not support and not negotiate it with.
Yeah, but don't miss the caller's subtle message.
No. Of course.
I don't believe she believes
they would give us that.
What she's saying in essence is that you want something from us.
Yeah.
Here is our demand.
Yeah, the hands up. Something.
Then we'll post in them radar. If you can't post, no radar. Right?
Okay.
Definitely.
I think that's what she's.
Yeah.
I think if the Prime Minister has to say yes, something that kind of position would be a try.
Let's take a final call, and then we would wrap here. We Culture, good evening.
Good evening. I have not been privy to all the previous conversations because I was in a meeting.
Right.
But I was just told that there's an aircraft carrier right in Grenadian waters. They should be here. They are here right now. So I would like to know if the Grenadian public knows about it, and why is it here? Because they could stay here now and fire off to Venezuela and do what they have to do.
But let me ask, caller, do you know that for certain, or you said you heard that?
The person who told me seems to be reliably informed.
Okay, well, okay, fair enough, yeah. Okay, thanks. Yeah.
So that should be looked into.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, I am very, very wary about information like that, because sometimes, when these things come out there without, it creates more problems. That's
the problem, Godfrey, right? No, you ain't have kind of COVID and all kind of information, misinformation. Yes. Once it's something juicy.
Well, they say nothing better than a juicy gossip. You get that? You can't go wrong. But guys, we out of time. I thought it was a wonderful discussion. So we have to wrap here. So maybe Doc, you can let me just squeeze in that final call, and then we will wrap.
Yeah.
We Culture, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, good evening, caller. Hello.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, there are certainly vessels of boat within the horizon. from where I live, I can see. So the previous caller is quite correct.
But there's a boat. But you said there is a boat. But I mean,
there are vessels on the outskirts, and things normally happen on the outside that I will see from where I stand. But
do you know what kind? Do you know what kind of vessel it is?
Say that again?
Do you know what kind of vessel it is?
No, there are vessels, and not vessels that would always be there.
But how do you know that? Is the vessel on the horizon? How you know what kind of vessel?
I'm seeing there over a period of time they're stationary. So let's not go there, brother. Let's not go as far as you want to take me.
No. I'm not doing that. I just want to be certain with the information we put out. Anyway, guys, that's all the time we have. Doc, your closing.
I think the Grenadian public is very firm in the decision in terms of what they want. It's a clear message for the Prime Minister. But like for every leader, you have the leader, he or she are usually privy to a lot of other information and more information than the rank and file of the general public. So I trust that the decision would be in line with the majority. But again, I also believe in the wisdom of our Prime Minister, and I think irrespective whether it's popular or not, is something we would have to live with. But I trust that good sense prevail, and with the main trust of maintaining our integrity and our sovereignty. I trust that. As it relates to that last caller that made that comment, I don't believe it is way beyond Trump to do anything to in a sense to bypass on our sense of consultation or so. And so I wouldn't doubt that anything like that could happen based on the trend that they are perpetuating through the whole world. So that is my take on the matter.
Okay. Finley?
Yeah, well, nothing is impossible. I agree with that. So you don't know. But I would more I'm a man that believes in rationality, in things that are making sense, and maybe there's a good explanation for why a funny looking boat park outside here and pull up here pull up your handbrakes and he ain't going nowhere, because I don't know which part the caller leaves, but I know that there's a vessel in Trinidad, or vessels or whatnot.
From F. Yeah.
So I don't know if he's in the south. Maybe he can see. Maybe the horizon is seen is in Trinidad.
Well, I know. There's I've heard it before. People who live in Mardi Gras, for example, there are certain times where you can actually see lights as far as Venezuela. I mean, I've been told that by people who live in Mardi Gras. So it's not. It's not.
So it could very well be because it's sea funny, There was one time a fisherman said that they were going to hold fish in the ocean. So they asked him, well, where the ocean is? The ocean is quite by Barbados.
Let me tell you, where you can't touch bottom, then you can't touch bottom.
I say the ocean is by Barbados, where Barbados ocean is.
You know what I mean?
But there's some military action taking place.
Well, but of course there is military activities taking place. I mean, that is not a secret. My thing is, what's called, you finish. You didn't finish with your.
No, but I finished. I think Doc wrapped it up very nicely, really. And the truth is, as I said before, it is not a decision. I mean, heavy is the head that bears the title of Prime Minister, and I don't think, all Prime Ministers have been tested, and this is really, this one has been tested quite a bit, We had the hurricane. I mean, a lot of prime ministers come through hurricane and so on. He has hurricane. Now he have this geopolitical tension that I mean is unheard of really. So his head, I mean, heavy is the head that wears that title, and we need to see what he will do. You know, but the way that he's approaching it, I mean, gives one cause really to be optimistic.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I said so earlier. I'm quite happy with the way the Prime Minister is doing this whole situation, and I would definitely encourage him to take his time. Don't be swayed by all that is said out there. Be focused. Take your time and make a decision that, in your opinion, is in the best interest of every one of us in Grenada. I just want to not totally switch a little bit, but what is happening now, what we're seeing, I think there is a lesson there for every one of us in Grenada. A lesson that we need to seriously start being more self-sufficient. You know, we need to start to pay attention to our business. Too many people in Grenada just sit idly by and complain about things that they can do a lot better about. You know, we need to become self-sufficient. We need to pay attention, and this one is even at the leadership level. We need to focus on our agriculture sector, on our health sector. There are areas that we need to step up, and I think the quicker we do that, and as a people, we have a very important role to play. Sometimes we sit back and we believe that everything has to be done by our leaders. No, that is not the case. We have a lot to do, and we need to step up, open our eyes, see what's happening, rather than just jumping up on everything and yow. Let us focus on being self-sufficient. Let us focus on being more productive. So today or tomorrow, we would be able at least to stand. We may not be able to totally do it, but at least we'd be in a better place than we were. So this is how I want to end. Thank you guys for being with us, for your contributions, calls. Doc, thank you. We miss Reece. She did say, I know she had a function that really prevented her. I know she'd have loved to be here, but nevertheless, we're looking forward to being back next week to continue our discussion. So until then, do have a great weekend. Tomorrow is a Heroes Day. I mean, I keep my apologies. Tomorrow is what again? Tomorrow is what again?
Thanksgiving in a home. It's like a Salaka style. Yes, Thanksgiving Godfrey.
I make a mistake.
You make a deliberate mistake.
Yeah. Me head hot. I like the PM. Me head hot too much. Anyway, guys, thank you very much and do have a good night. All the best and enjoy the day tomorrow, please God. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Let we set it on fire. A little more calypso, forget the funk and the disco. A little more limbo.